This presentation will discuss the setup and operation of the solar system on a Nissan Xterra. Many people have asked about adding solar to their rigs, and this presentation should provide enough information to get started. The system showcased here is definitely a budget build and costs somewhere around $300 total. Plug-and-play systems will easily cost 2 to 3 times as much. This system has 3 primary components and 1 secondary system. The primary components are the solar panel, the charge controller, and the storage battery. The secondary system is the existing vehicle alternator and starting battery. Cascadia Systems has come out with a flexible panel that mounts on the hood and looks much better, but some concerns have been raised about the panel efficiency when the engine is running. The mount you see here allows airflow and distance from the hood, which minimizes convective and conductive heat transfer. It's also 75% less expensive. If a sleek appearance is a requirement, you may want to consider the Cascadia system. The panel shown here is a cheap panel purchased on Amazon 7 years ago. It's 95 watts and produces a maximum of 5 amps at 18 volts. You can get better now for under $100. The heart of the system is the charge controller. Charge controllers have 3 connections, one for the battery, one for the solar panel, and one for your load. The purpose of the charge controller is to prevent discharging the battery through the solar panel when it's dark, prevent overloading the battery from excessive load, and also maintain the battery. A good charge controller will actually do a float charge and periodically do a deep discharge on your battery followed by a deep charge. The type of charge controller to get is called an MPPT, and they are generally more expensive than the cheap PWM charge controllers, but you get what you pay for. Running your loads through the charge controller is important to prevent overloading the battery. In this case, the electric blanket or the fridge is run from the charge controller. The battery stores the power from the solar panel. Deep cycle batteries are low-cost solutions. You can get a lithium battery that will store more power, but they are much more expensive. When dealing with deep cycle batteries, you need to manage your loads to 50% of the rated capacity of the battery. These batteries work differently under high load than low load, and 50% is a good thumb rule. There is also a cross-connect from the second battery to the vehicle battery. Normally that cross-connect is open so the systems are separated. However, when the second battery needs to be charged quickly, the cross-connect will be closed and the second battery charges off the Xterra's alternator. Many people use a solenoid to do this automatically. However, the charging requirements for a starting battery and a deep cycle marine battery are different, so a manually operated switch is used. Cross-connecting these two systems requires a very large cable, like a 4-gauge jumper cable. And that's what was used. A set of jumper cables was purchased from Amazon, clamps were cut off, lugs and fuses installed between the 2 batteries. It is really important to have fuses on each end of the cable in case the cable gets damaged. The cross-connect switch is in the middle, located in the engine compartment, but it can be near the second battery as well. Instrumentation is also important. You need to be able to see the battery voltage and charging rate to get an understanding of its normal operation. Operating voltages for deep cycle batteries should be between 12.8 volts, 100%, and 12.5 volts, 0%, at rest. At rest means no charging operation and no load. Voltage above this range indicates charging, and below this range indicates possible excessive load and needs to be watched carefully or halted. Operation varies based on the amount of sunlight available. Under normal summertime operation, the solar panel and charge controller take care of the fridge just fine. Overnight, the fridge will draw 1/2 to 5 amps and average about 2 amps. This represents 2 amp hours coming out of the battery over a 10-hour period, or 20 amp hours. If the charge controller is pumping 3 amps back into the battery, it will take about 7 hours to recharge the battery. However, during winter time, the sun isn't as bright, the angle of incidence is lower, and there are fewer hours of light. and in the winter, the electric blanket draws 5 amps continuously, which represents 5 amp hours, when multiplied by 10 hours, is 50 amp hours. Remember that 50% comment earlier? That means the battery is almost dead. To put 50 amp hours back into the battery at 3 amps will take 17 hours. Two problems here: the panel isn't going to deliver that much power in the winter because of the sun's angle and there's only 9 hours of sunlight available. So the battery must be cross-connected to the vehicle battery, after engine start, to rapidly recharge the second battery. Failure to do so will deplete the battery in a couple days and it will take several more days to recharge the battery. Thanks for watching.